Hi, welcome to the Lazy Cook Show. I'm Pete, and this is the second in the series of Fridge Challenge. We're using the pneumonic Happy, H-A-P-P-Y, and the first in that one is Hunt. I've hunted in my fridge and I found all these things, and the second one is A for Assess. I've assessed what I can make with this. I'm going to make a nice winter warmer stew with it, and the next thing on the list is prepare, and then produce, which is cooking it, and then Y is yummy, which is eating it. So let's get ahead with it. I'm going to go on now and do all the prep, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, my prep's done. The only thing I've added to that is a bit of potato, which I've cubed up. Running through the rest, what I've got here is I've got some celery. There's about a cup of celery. There's about a cup of chopped up carrots. They're all chunkily chopped, the celery and carrots, nice and chunky. As are the peppers. I've cut the tip off each of these peppers. They're going back in the fridge. And I've used half of the half white cabbage, and that bit's going back in the fridge. So there you go. There's a generous cereal bowl full of that. And I've chopped up 2 cloves of garlic, which are there to be used as well. So in addition to that, we've got some nice chunky chopped onions. This is a winter warmer stew. It's a chunky peasanty stew. The next thing I'm going to do is cut up the this gammon joint into bite-sized pieces, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, that's the gammon chopped up. Now what drove me to do this was the fact that I picked up this gammon at a real snip of a price. It was, I think it was £1.79 in my local co-op shop. I want to get it cooked. I want to get it used before its expiry date, and getting it into a large winter stew like this means I can freeze off what portion we don't eat, and then we've got another meal saved. So without further ado, we need to get on and start cooking. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a bit of oil in my my stew pan and get that up to heat. Okay, while my pot's coming up to heat, the noise you can hear in the background is my kettle. I'm using the kettle to efficiently heat up the water so that we can add it to the pot. One thing you don't necessarily need when you're working with gammon, it's so flavourful. It's got so much oomph to it that you probably don't need anything by the way of stock. We've got plenty of really good stock vegetables here. We've got the meat itself, we've got some garlic, superb aromatic, and the cabbage itself produces a superb flavoured stock. So I don't think we're going to need any stock at all with this, and I think most of you will agree with me on that. This is just coming up to heat now, and as soon as my kettle's boiled, I'll get back to you. Okay, that's the kettle up to the boil, and my pan is just coming up to superb heat. I'm going to put in a couple of tablespoons of groundnut oil. The reason I use groundnut oil is because it's got such a high flash point. You'll notice also that Spoonzilla has managed to creep into the scene because he's a bit of a scene stealer really. So we get that oil up to heat. I'm just swirling it around the pan, and we'll get the meat straight into that. And bango, my sound characteristic. If I had a sound man, he'd be nagging me about this, but I do everything myself. Incidentally, for those of you who, like me, are computer buffs out there, I do everything on, not on the Windows system, I do everything on a Linux system. I do all my video editing, everything on the Linux system. So for those of you who are interested in that kind of thing, you might have a few questions for me. So we'll get that turning in the heat. And we'll get that sealed up. And the next thing we put in is some of our aromatics, including our onions. And the reason we fry stuff off at first is, I keep going over it. If you watch all my other videos, you see I keep mentioning we fry things off to begin with, is that it starts to caramelise some of the aromatics and the meat, and it puts an edge on the meat really, and it creates an extra layer of delicious umami flavour. that ends up in the final stew. So we'll get that going round. Another great reason for doing it is the fantastic smell we get from it. I'm going to add the garlic in now. That's all ready to go. That was just a couple of cloves of garlic. And if you want some videos on how we prep all these vegetables, just look in my channel, you'll see it down there. If you like what you see, please like and please subscribe and comment. And if you really want to catch my videos, the little bell next to the subscribe, click that and then make sure you check the box, and then you'll get my videos as they come out. Alright, let's go on. Oh, and don't forget to tell your friends and family, because I need some support out there, guys, to keep doing this. Right. In goes the rest of the veg. I'm not messing about with it. I'm just chucking it all in. In goes the spuds. Right, that's everything in the pot. You see how fast this is? It's a super winter warmer stew. There are a couple of herbs and spices that are really, really good with this dish. Gammon gives a great flavour on its own, so you don't really need to mess about with stock flavours and things like that, as I've already mentioned. But because we're using cabbage, there are one or two spices that are really good with this, and one of them is caraway seeds. So there's caraway seeds, and another one is juniper berries. I would add those, and you can add them around about a teaspoon of each into a pot this size would be perfect. But it's probably something I'm not going to do today, and the reason is this is the first time I've ever cooked this one. I've just made it up as I've gone along, and I really want to see what the raw flavours are like and how it turns out as a stew. Because it's a stew, I can always warm it up. I can always add some additional flavours to it later, but right now I'm happy with this as it is. I'll probably add a bit of pepper. It won't need any salt because of the gammon joint, but I'll probably add a bit of pepper. So before it burns on the bottom, I'm going to grab my trusty kettle and just top it up. Right, one sec, I'm just going to change the... Okay, that's a bit better for you. And then all I do is I now top that up with my boiled water, bearing in mind that the cabbage is going to cook down and some of these vegetables will cook down. And so you see where the water is, it's just about 3/4 of an inch, about 3 centimetres below the level of the veg, and I think that will be perfectly adequate for when that starts to cook down. I don't want my stew to be too watery. I can always add more water to it later, but for right now I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to bring that up to a rapid boil and then turn the heat right down to about, it's right up full at the moment, so I'll probably turn it from 6 down to 2. So I'll reduce it by 2/3, so I've only got 1/3 heat, and leave it like that for a good 40 minutes before I check it. So with that in mind, I'm just going to bring that to the boil now, turn it down, and then I'll get back to you. Well, here we are, 40 minutes later. I'm just going to lift the lid now and let's have a look at this. Okay, that's nice. It's been simmering away for 40 minutes, and the next thing I need to do is grab a spoon and have a taste. What's going on? Oh, the only thing I would do with that, it's salty, it's rich, it's beautiful flavours of the vegetables, and the gammon is just awesome. The only thing I would do with that now is put in some black pepper. That, I think that would finish it. Let's get some of that in. Now I put tons of this in. You put in as much as you like. Oh, go on, just another couple. And what I've done in advance is I've mixed up some, you can use cornstarch, but I've used potato starch, which I get from Asian stores, or you can buy it online. but it doesn't matter. Cornstarch, corn flour, about three teaspoons, generous teaspoons with some water, and then what I'll do is I'll just put that in there and stir that around and allow that to thicken a little bit. I don't want it too thick, I just want it to thicken it up just a bit, and then see how that comes along. Tip the last of that bit in there. Okie doke. I'll bring that back up to the boil. Just turn it up a little bit, bring it up to the boil, and then I'm going to go in and give it another taste. I'll grab a new spoon. That's about right. Let's have a go. Adding the potato starch, well, or any kind of starch at this thing, it just helps to stabilise it and bind it a little bit, and it gives it a more velvety texture, so it's a little bit easier on the palate. But besides that, there's nothing else I would do with that except serve it up. So that's what you're going to see in the next shot. Okay, so there we have it. It's a gammon and cabbage winter warmer stew, and second in the series of the fridge challenge. Enjoy.